Hello, my name is Laura Schreebmaker. I present the paper Leaving the Field, Designing a Socio-Material Toolkit for Teachers to Continue to Design Technology with Children. This research was conducted within the Social Play Technologies project in Vienna, Austria, together with my colleagues Kai Kender, Christopher Frauenberger, and Geraldine Fitzpatrick. Leaving the field when conducting research in situated contexts and finding ways to sustain project outcomes beyond academia can be challenging. We co-designed social play technologies with neurodiverse children in classroom contexts for 3 years. But when talking to the teachers what they would need to continue doing design workshops with children, they felt unable to do so. Our project outcomes did not sufficiently support them or other teachers who did not participate in this research to continue doing similar work after we would have left the field. They were worried that they wouldn't have the resources to continue our work. For instance, because they are no technology experts and they don't have the money to buy technical components. To react upon their concerns and enable them to facilitate similar activities with the children, we decided to build a toolkit comprised of various social material tools. We argue that we need a combination of material tools, for instance methodological guidelines, to facilitate design processes, and social tools, for example a social support network consisting of tech experts or peers that support teachers in using the toolkit. The majority of existing toolkits are mainly sets of methods or tools, physical parts, or methodological guidelines. But we learned from our collaboration with the teachers that situated context requires not only standalone materials, but also a social infrastructure in which the digital and physical materials are embedded. As a conceptual lens, we build up on the notion of infrastructuring. We use this term as defined in science and technology studies and used by Grassi et al. As a multi-phased concept referring to interrelated technical, social, organizational arrangements involving hardware and software technologies, standards, procedures, practices, and policies, together with digital configurations in support of human communication and capabilities. The toolkit was co-designed based on an interview and a co-design workshop with special education teachers, and initial feedback on the final prototype was gathered afterwards from additional teachers with an online survey. During the interview, it became apparent that the teachers feel that they lack resources, for instance, time, money, or skills, to facilitate PD workshops at their schools without the support of researchers. Then, we developed the initial prototype for the toolkit, based on requirements of the teachers. In the co-design workshop, we designed and refined the initial toolkit prototype and discussed opportunities for support networks. In the online survey, we gathered initial feedback on the toolkit. The material toolkit consists of digital resources, a handbook for teachers with methodological guidelines how to facilitate PD-inspired technology design workshops with children, a diary for the children, card decks consisting of technology cards, design trigger cards, and cards for fantasy workshops, and videos which explain technologies. Interestingly, the teachers preferred digital resources they could print, appropriate, and reproduce, and not a traveling toolkit, for instance, they could borrow, or already printed materials. We discussed a couple of requirements for the toolkit and challenges the teachers experience in their practice. For instance, that they need materials which are open for appropriation, and that they want short explanations rather than long texts. With this work, we want to propose a pathway to sustain outcomes of participatory design projects in the school context. We believe that the toolkit can support sustainability, but it requires careful infrastructuring to embed it in the context. Exploring the restraints of a particular context was in our case the key to be able to develop a toolkit which meets the requirements of the teachers, and the survey indicates that it might also support new audiences who were not previously engaged in our PD project. This could be a first step towards scalability as well. Reflecting on what we have learned, we suggest to have a proactive attitude when aiming for sustainable project outcomes. Especially with infrastructuring, we learned that it requires time to find collaborators and to build a network which outlives the initial research project. Furthermore, we believe that infrastructuring could be a possibility for reintroducing politics and ethics to important notions in PD. We thought we were able to encapsulate values in our toolkit, for instance, the empowerment of children in the design process, by presenting the toolkit to policymakers and teachers who challenge the current school's curriculum.